God is so creative in how He grows us into the people He wants us to be. And I have found that one of the most important resources for my growth is my children. And probably one of the hardest and most significant lessons I've learned has to do with love. That's one of the reasons that God sent our son Josh into our life. He came to us when he was 9, almost 10, with a lot of challenges from his background, neglect and abandonment and rejection. And those are very powerful things that really determine a psyche even. And so Josh came into our family barely knowing us and was sure that we would just be one more in the list of people who have abandoned him. And so he wasn't going to let us into his life. He wasn't going to let us get close to him. And there was no emotional connection. And so he didn't trust us. He didn't believe that we would be there for him. And so he was not going to give anything back to us. Every day, as I would go into his room and give him assignments, he would give attitude back or some smart remark, and I would walk out of the room and I would just go, I quit, I'm done. He doesn't care. Why should I care? Lord, I'm done. And the Lord would say, every day, Judy, have I ever given up on you? No, but you're God, and I'm not. He said, but I've called you to do this for Josh, and I will give you what you need to do it. I'm not going to give up on him, and I don't want you to either. And you know, in life, whether it's as a parent or in work or relationships, it's easy to want to give up. If finances are a problem, you just want to throw up. How can I fix this? And I just was frustrated and became aware that I'm not strong enough for this. I'm really weak when it comes to knowing how to help him. And because of that weakness that I was more and more aware of, it drove me into the arms of the Lord. And it developed my relationship with him in a depth that I could hardly believe, because in my weakness, God was able to pour his strength into me. And so it became increasingly difficult. And again, nothing coming back for all that we would seek to do. And we chose to love by faith, and God has just enabled me to keep loving over and over when it would be easy not to. But what happened in the process is that God really gave me this intense love for this boy. Before it had really just been, I need to love him. I will act in loving ways toward him. But all of a sudden, I was just flooded with this love. And as my love for him grew, I would say to God, I said, you know, could he just say I love you once? And God said, Judy, unconditional love, by definition, doesn't require love in return. And you need to love him whether he ever loves you. I'm like, okay, but I sure would like it if he could. So years continued, and I kept loving him and doing loving things for him and looking for ways to convince him that he was loved and accepted and treasured. And after 13 years, I think it was, and he called me up early one morning. He says, I love you. And for the first time, he realized that he did love me and Steve. And it was wonderful. And now he'll say it all the time. If you were to look at our phone with our texts, we always end with love you. And it's a natural thing. But for me, what a huge trial and learning that it doesn't matter if people respond to me or how they act. We love like God loves. And He loved us while we were still sinners. And He loved us no matter what we did. He still loves us. And so that's just been a wonderful thing that God used Josh to teach me. I don't have to give up. God will enable me. That I am weak, but God will be strong in my weakness. And that loving unconditionally is possible because God has loved us.